old ladies are talking about in CTE any more than these folks or even you want to hear from me all that much. It's important for the kids who are going to come to these programs, get a share of what's happening from kids who are going to be a part of it as well. So we're going to talk about each one of our programs, the student organizations that each one has, the kinds of activities that they participate in, and wrap up this presentation with a short video clip so you get a chance to see what some of those programs look like out in the buildings. And certainly invite you to come and visit us anytime you'd like. Just give us a shout, sign in at the door, and we can take you around for a tour or sit down and speak with you about any one of our programs and give you the highlights of all of that. What a lot of people don't know about Lake Street Technology Center is that we're monitored by the State Department of Education every single year as part of our performance obligations. So that means I have to do a comprehensive needs assessment in the fall. DOE, one of the representatives, our person is Diane Lewis from the New Hampshire Department of Education, Bureau of Career Representation, and she comes in and meets with us. And of all the programs that we have, we do an assessment. We do a rubric that kind of evaluates each program. And we pick 2 for her to visit with the teacher, do a complete assessment of those particular programs, and over the course of 10 years, she will come in and visit all of our programs. That's kind of what we do. But I'm happy to report that this year we had an A+ rating on our comprehensive needs assessment. We had no corrective actions to make at all. They thought we were doing a great job of putting forth the kind of programs that we want our kids to be able to participate in and earn the career credits that they need to have and get on with what's next in their lives. So that's what we're doing. We're trying to build collaboratively an opportunity for kids to not only know or think about the courses that they want to take, but have a plan moving forward so that they have something to look forward to and that they leave school with a plan in hand.
We've never gotten an A+ rating. It was a pretty big deal.
It was I think we can do a happy dance after that one because for me, any glitch in our programming is something that I will perseverate on until we get that to a place where it's more acceptable over time. And most of anything that we've ever had before has been mostly related to machinery that we need to build up our programs because industry requires certain types of machinery to be able to run programs, and if our budget didn't allow it, so those are the kinds of things that we might have gotten dinged on before, so we've worked around a lot of that as far as putting money where it counts. And we are, as I said, and Jen collaborated on that as far as A+, so we'll take it. First program that I think I'm going to let Jen talk about the program because that's what she does. She's the person that our kids here that talks about each one of the programs, so she kind of gives them the overview, the highlights, all of the things that they can look forward to, but not only that, the reality of it, the kinds of rigor that comes with that as far as the college credits that are available to them to seek, or their industry certification. So we may not all know all of the language that goes with CTE, and sometimes we get into the alphabet soup of it all. So if something doesn't make sense to you, raise your hand and we'll try to make sure we explain that all to you. All right? Jen, thanks. Mrs. Willett.
So I am going to do the screen, so if you did want to come up front and see it, you can. If you don't want to move, I totally understand. But this is what I do for all Kingswood 9th graders and 10th graders. I do it for Prospect Mountain, Wolfeboro Academy, Farmington, so all 4 schools. Talk about what LRTC is and how we're together building up our futures. And then Katie gave me this lovely thing, so I'm hoping my little clicker is going to work, but I don't know. Maybe I should turn it on. There we go. All right, so the first program I'd like to talk about is just our marketing education program, and I kind of explain it in a way that hopefully students understand. So if you are interested in going into social media marketing, e-commerce, or entrepreneurship, this would be a program that I would say would be interesting to them. In that program, all of our programs have what we call career and technical student organizations. We call it their CTSO. marketing is DECA, that's their CTSO, so they can compete against all other students in the state. If they do well enough, they get to go on to nationals. In this program, they also get an opportunity to get a certification in their second level, which is a HubSpot certification. So if they were to go just directly into the field, they would already have a certification under their belt. And if they decide to go to college, then they have that certification to hopefully get a job and earn money to pay for college while they're there. So those are kind of some of the things we're doing. In this program, they also offer 3 credits of early college credits. So they already get marketing credits while they're in high school, as long as they pass the class with a 78 or 73 or better. So the rigor is high. And then, so in the first level of this program, a lot of the students are just learning basic entrepreneurship skills. We have the Pro Depot, which is our school store, and in our school store, it's completely student run. So they learn how to select all the products, they learn how to select, we have gear there, and they design it, and they decide what's gonna be on it. Then they decide all the price points, and then they have to figure out, okay, are these products selling? Are we making a profit? Do we need to change them? What do we need to add? And then they go on to the marketing end of it, and they have a social media site, and they promote it through the students, and they figure out how they can get more students into the store. And then they also use the POS system, so that's a point of sale system, so they learn how to do all of that. And they have an accounting department, and so they move through all these sections, and the accounting department figures out how much they made. They make the bank deposits, they give them to our secretary Janice, and she puts them in the bank for them. So they learn the entire way of how to build, run a business, basically. So, any questions about marketing? Alrighty. So, graphic design is if you want to be in publication or visual communication, anything like that. Their association is FBLA, Future Business Leaders of America. In the past, they have worked really hard on the Kingswood Yearbook. So that is a publication they get to graduate with under their belt with their name on it. Now, this year, because Scott Sawyer worked really hard on getting us a grant, so we were able to fund more of our IRCs, which are our industry recognized credentials. So this year we were able to offer Adobe software credentialing. So now students can test out of that and try to get an Adobe software credential. So in the first year of graphic design, they do a lot of basic designing on the computer and learning the Adobe software and things like that. And then in the second level, they get to kind of choose more of a path, like, do I want to learn how to design? That we just got screen printing machines and heat presses and things like that, so they can kind of go in that avenue and learn how to make marketing materials, or they can just stay on the computer and design different logos and for companies and things like that. So that is graphic design. Health science technology. This is really, if you want to, there are over 250 different fields that students could go into in the health occupation field. So if they want to be a dentist or an occupational therapist or a phlebotomist, I mean, it's not just nurses and doctors, it's any kind of health field related, even if they want to be a vet tech or a veterinarian, like this will get them started and get them on that path. So in the first year of this program, they learn a lot of their basic skills, and they learn CPR and first aid. They get certified in that. They learn about infectious disease control, health insurance, Medicare and Medicaid, career exploration, and then the legal and ethical pathways. And then in the second level, because all of our programs are 2 years, so you'll hear me talk about first level and second level. In the second year, they will go to clinical, and they work with live patients, and they get to go to a nursing home in town. And this year, they were lucky enough, we had a relationship with Huggins Hospital, so they got to go into Huggins Hospital and work with those patients. So that was kind of cool. And then every one of our students has passed their LNA, so they all graduate with their LNA license. And this year we had 100% like we usually do, which is nice. So they all are graduating with their LNA as their credentialing. If they choose not to go to the nursing path and they don't want to get their LNA, in the second year they can choose to go an EMT path, and they can try to get their EMT license through us. That one is a bit more rigorous, but we have a few students that I think are on par and will hopefully pass their EMT test this year.
Student organization.
organization is HOSA, which is Health Occupations of America. And again, they compete state and nationally with them. They've been to places like Texas for nationals. They've been to Florida, you know, so they definitely, there's an opportunity to travel as well. And they have an opportunity to get 8 early college credits in this class. So, moving on. Career in education, if students want to be a teacher, own their own daycare, be a social worker or a school counselor, this would be the avenue they would take. In the first level, they get to work with Magic Moments, which is a daycare on campus that we have, and so they're fortunate enough to go in and work with preschool children. And then, fortunately this year, they were able to go to Carpenter as well, so they were able to work with K through 3 students as well, and have that opportunity and learn from those teachers and work on their social skills and also work on their lesson planning and things like that. Our level 2 kids also get to go to Carpenter, and this year we added Crescent Lake so they could get 4th through 6th grade. So they, again, are experiencing a lot of different age children to work with to see what they really have a passion for, which is funny because they really do have a passion. And then it's very different from a 2nd grade class to a 6th grade class. And they're like, I will not work with 6th grade. I love 2nd grade. That's my jam. I'm like, all right, well, at least you figured that out before you graduated. So, this year, we also added early college credits, so you can get 3 early college credits through that class. They get their CPR and first aid certifications, and again, this year we added the praxis. So the other day, we had students go and take their praxis, which is good for 5 years, 7 years, somewhere around there. It's good for that long, so like throughout college, they wouldn't have to take it again. And we had 2 girls pass their math. So 3 girls passed their math, 2 girls passed their math and reading or English, and then their essay is to be determined. We're still waiting. So it's kind of exciting.
5 when they're finished. So one's still waiting to take it. Their CTSO is Educators Rising. It's the first year we've offered it back here at LRTC. It is also a very highly recognized program that kids can compete at the state or national level. This year we had kids competing at the state level.
And they qualified, we had 3 qualified for nationals this year. Yeah.
We're doing some work with WCTV to interview 2 of the girls who qualified at the states or nationals to read their book on television so that it can be broadcast to some of the community members that have an interest in finding out what kids are doing in careers in ed.
Our next program is multimedia. Multimedia is anybody that wants to get into TV broadcasting, filming, news reporting, anchoring, or just running all the behind-the-scenes cameras and things. In the first level, they do a program called Night Watch. It's on our website. You can see little episodes that they do. They do 1 episode a week for the beginning of the year, and they just talk about basic lunch, what's offered for lunch, what the weather's going to be, and then each student gets to pick something they're passionate about, and they get to do an episode on it. So we've had students that have done Hollywood gossip. We've had students do sports, whether they do Kingswood sports or they do like national sports. We've had students do dad jokes. That was one of my favorite episodes. So they really just kind of get to pick. This year, I think we had a student that was super into traveling, so he just did travel destinations around the world and talked about it. So it was kind of cool, and it's nice that they get to choose something that they're passionate about and look more into it. And so in doing all of that, they learn all the camera work, all the sound dubbing, the green screens, the teleprompters, all the editing equipment, the studio design, and all the light work that goes into it. And then in the second half of the year, they do short films. And so they create their own short films. And in the short film creation last year, we had a student that, again, qualified in states, and she actually had her film played at a theater, so her family got to go and kind of watch it in the film in the theater. So that was kind of cool.
The old episodes of Night Watch would be on YouTube if you ever have a chance to check it out. They rebroadcast on there, or you can call them up.
And they are affiliated with our Skills USA, which you'll see a lot of our programs are affiliated with Skills USA for competitions. Anything else about multimedia? Yes. Theater Stagecraft, also run by Mr. Giesler. This is if you want to get into set design, costume design, or lighting and sound. A lot of times I like to tell students, like, this isn't the actors and actresses on stage, it's all the stuff behind the scenes. So if they're interested in building things, but they don't want to build houses in our construction programs, this is a perfect place to learn how to do that. And they build like stairs that people actually have to walk up and down in the plays. And they learn how to sew outfits. So if they're into fashion design and they want to learn how to create outfits and portray what the actors and actresses are going to say, like, this is the class for them. And then the lighting and sound, that we have that multi-million-dollar art stadium, so our theater arts stadium, so they get to run this, and that, what an opportunity that is for students around here. Not a lot of students get that opportunity to work with equipment like that, and that's something that I've heard from the students, like, I had no idea I could work with this expensive equipment, and so, and have trust in it and things like that. So they do all of that. I encourage students also, if they're not into theater, but they really enjoy music, like learning how to run all of the lights and sound in that auditorium will afford them the opportunity to go to, what is the music place in Guilford? Meadowbrook, yes. They could go to Meadowbrook and get a job because they know how to operate all of that equipment. So it's not just general theater, it's arts in general. So that's kind of cool. They are part of the New Hampshire Educational Theater Guild, and I'm sure you guys heard they did very well this year, again. So that's exciting. And you've probably seen some of their plays that they've done. This year was a big year because they've never had a flying event, and they had Mary Poppins fly, so that was kind of cool and interesting for the students to learn how that all operates and things like that. So that was your stage. Computer networking, or computers, networking, and cybersecurity is now what we're calling it. This is if you want to be a computer technical IT support, if you want to be a computer networking administrator, cybersecurity, anything like that, you're going to learn that in this class. In the first class, you learn all about the hardware, which is just how to build they take the computer apart and put it back together. They usually have fun with it sometimes, put some lights in it and different things. One student ended up one year, he had 10 monitors just because he was being silly. We're like, okay, that's a bit much. But they do, they get to enjoy some of that stuff. And then they learn all about the software, which is what tells the computer what it needs to do and how it needs to operate, and they learn all about the software. They do troubleshooting and just repairs in the first level. In second level, that's when they get into more of like the networking and how the internet works, and it's not just magic, and how it communicates between each other, how information travels through the internet, and then they do cybersecurity, which right now is an up and coming huge career that they do not have enough staff to fill the positions that are open, just because everyone is using the internet and networking and the internet. So they do a lot of cybersecurity in there. And then their CTSO and their certifications are through Cisco. And through our grant this year, we got to pay for students to take the IT technician support, the cybersecurity, and the networking course. So they could get certified in 3 different applications, which is kind of cool. And they are also part of Skills USA for their state and national competitions. Thanks. Precision manufacturing, if you want to be a CNC machinist, you want to get into welding, we do MIG, TIG, oxyacetylene welding, all of that. If you want to be a mechanical engineer, you can take this class. Really, in the first class, they're going to just learn basics of like metalworking and how to work with metal and cut metal and bend metal, and then they learn how to MIG and TIG weld, and then they learn how to use, we have lathes, metal lathes, that they can create different things. I don't know if you guys know, like the round lathes, and they create different things, and the milling and the turning of things. We then go into grinding and cutting metal as well, and then they make small projects in that class like piggy banks, or they make little flower holders and things like that, just so they can experiment with it. In level 2, they get more in depth, and then they find their passion. Do they like using our CNC machine and they're more like a machinist, or do they want to get more into the welding aspect? And they kind of get to choose their path there. And they also get to use our plasma cutter, which is you're not using your hand as much, but you're inputting into the computer, and the plasma cam is cutting it for you and designing it for you. We use Mastercam and SolidWorks, so the students are familiar with that when they go into the industry. They are part of Skills USA, and we had people compete in the state and nationally. They're going to Georgia this
End of June.
end of June.
Right after school.
So I think we have like 7 or 8 kids going, which is pretty exciting. They have added 3 early college credit classes to that, and they got their OSHA 10 certifications this year through the grant, so that was pretty cool. All right. Automotive technology is what you probably imagine it would be. If you want to be a technician, or you want to get into auto parts and sales, or just being an automotive instructor. In the first level, they go through the basics, tire changes, oil changes, inspections. They do all of that stuff at school. And then in the second level, they get more in depth and they learn how to diagnose problems and use the computers to find out what the error codes are running, and really work on the motor itself and the bigger issues, the alignment issues and things like that.
State inspections.
They do state inspections. I encourage a lot of students that are into HVAC. I think they have an option because we don't have a specific HVAC program, that HVAC is the same in a house and in a car. So I just tell them to try to choose something of their interest in that path, and then they will get the HVAC part of it as well. They also offer early college credit, 3 early college credits. You get certifications, you get SB2 certifications, lift safety certifications, they get an ASC certification, and they also compete in Skills USA for automotive, and we had a few students do really well in that. This year we also added a Subaru certification and a Ford certification, so that was pretty cool to add that. Collision technology, this is more about the bodywork repair. You can learn how to custom paint, do decals, or just restoration of old cars. So it's like automotive plus stuff. Students are able to, we have in that bottom corner, that is a paint booth. It gets up to 140 degrees, so students can bring a car in, prep it, and paint their entire car in our shop. So we had one student this year, we have a junk cabinet because you have to pay to get rid of paint. And so she took advantage of that, and she went in there and grabbed a bunch of paint, and she mixed a whole gallon up as best she could, and she painted her car a new color this year, and she was very proud of it. So that was kind of cool, that she can say that she painted her car. But they do go over, in the first level, they go over basic, spackling and fixing taillights and small snowmobile projects, dent repair, and then they get into full body restorations, where they do rust restorations, and then they do accidents, they do estimating. So if you didn't really want to get super dirty, you could do the estimating side of things. We also do a lot of detailing, car detailing, so a lot of our teachers actually send their cars down during the day and get their cars detailed, which is kind of a bonus. And this year they also offered OSHA 10, and we added an iCar certification, which is a paint certification, so they're learning how to mix the colors of paint and getting a certification for that.
Is that the last one?
No.
No, we had eggs.
Culinary arts and hospitality, if you want to be a chef, if you want to be a restaurant manager or a baker, you might want to take this class. In the first level, they learn how to just prep a lot of the food. They learn how all the different cuts. They learn how to clean and measure everything in the kitchen. And then in the second level, so they prep all of the food. And in the second level, our students run the restaurant. So they learn how to run an entire restaurant. They take reservations, they figure out how much food they need for those reservations. They cook off all the food that the first level is prepped, and then they serve it. So they learn how to do all the front of the house with the POS and the serving and things like that as well. And they get to decorate the restaurant how they want to as well, and learn how to do all the napkins and things like that. And then they learn all the budgeting. Again, if they're making a profit off of what are they doing, sometimes on Fridays they'll do just a lunch to go for staff, which is helping maybe with some of the leftovers that they had, or just to make sure they're using everything they possibly can. They are part of Skills USA. They have 3 early college credits, and they get a ServSafe certificate if they pass. Construction trades. Construction trades, we just got back 2 years ago. It's really great if you want to be a carpenter, an electrician, a plumber, a masonry, anything to do with building a house from the foundation to the roof. And they learn all of that in this class. In the first level, they do some more basic stuff, like they made the chairs, because in making just a rocking chair, they learn how to use every tool in the shop. And now we know that they can be safe with most of the tools, and they know how to use those tools, so then we can go on to bigger projects. This year they made a project, the second level, they built a house with just the walls, and then they were able to ship it off to site, and then they were able to put it together. So they put all of the insulation and all of that into the walls, and then they shipped them off, so it's kind of cool. And then they sent them pictures, and they got to see their final product, all built. And they are part of Skills USA. They did compete for the first year in a long, long time, so that was pretty exciting, and I think we had one student qualify for nationals, which is cool.
And our teacher did some PD this year also to become certified in administering OSHA 10 and OSHA 30 over the course of the year. So we're the only CTE center in the state that has OSHA 30.
And these students got OSHA certified in construction aspect. All right. Oh, yeah.
Which are marketable skills, obviously, for anybody coming out of high school and wanting to earn some money to go to college.
Agricultural science, this is a plethora of things. As you can see, greenhouse management, floral design, repair, forestry. It offers a lot of things. In the first level, the beginning of the year, they do all of their forestry stuff. We have a woodlot out back near Crescent Lake that they use. And they are able to identify trees and take care of dead and dying trees, and they just keep them healthy. And then we go to all the state fairs, and they compete in woodsman's competitions, which is kind of fun for them. And then in the winter, we get more into the heavy equipment operation, and they make sure all of our equipment is ready for the spring. So we have tractors and excavators and gators, and so these students are learning all the hydraulics and how to lube them all up and get them ready. And then they help with snow removal on campus. They also go down to the woodlot and kind of excavate and do the things that they need to do down there just to learn those skills. And then in the spring, we do a lot of greenhouse work because we have a greenhouse on campus. So they learn the greenhouse end of things, and they plant all seeds. We do flowers and we do vegetables. The vegetables we usually end up donating to food pantries in the area. And the flowers they do for a sale for their FFA, which is their state competition, which used to be Future Farmers of America, but now they're trying to make it general because not everybody thinks they want to be a farmer because ag science is so broad that you don't actually have to be a farmer to be in ag science. So the students compete in that. They went up, met to the Mount Washington, and they competed. And this year, for the first time in a very long time, we had an ag sales team qualified for nationals, which they will be going to the Big E in October. So that's kind of exciting. And I think one of our other students qualified for extemporaneous speaking. So, and they also got their OSHA 10 certification this year. And the last thing we offer is like a third level. So because in the past, only juniors and seniors have been able to take our classes. Now sophomores can take our classes. If a sophomore takes our class and completes the 2 years as a junior, as a senior, they could take a third level. Or if they didn't and they started as a junior and are completing as a senior, sometimes if we can fit it in their schedule, they can participate in work-based learning. Work-based learning is when we send them into the field and they actually work on-site for a lot of different companies. And they get experience and they get to work in the real world. Some of them even get paid during the school day, which they really, really like. But it's a great opportunity for them to get out in the community. I think it helps our community members. It also hopefully is helping our students stay around in New Hampshire because there's a viability there that there are jobs right here in town on the things that we're teaching them. So that is that. I think now, now you know what we compete in for the state. We had over 85 students compete at the state level, and then we had 35 qualify for at least 35 qualify for nationals this year. So that was pretty exciting. And Futures Educators of America, and then in Skills USA, our collision program and our construction trade programs all just revitalized their programs and started competing again this year, so that was kind of exciting. Industry recognized credentials, you heard me say a lot about. We offer over 20 of those to different students in different career pathways. And then we offer 7 early college credit classes in the tech center, and then the high school also offers them, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I don't know, do you want to end with the
Sending school partners often do exit interviews with some of our kids as they finish up their programs. And this year we had the good fortune of prospects sharing some of their information with us. And I'm just trying to locate our quotes here. Oh, there. All right, we got it. Quotes from sending schools. Some of them were worth repeating, obviously. Mrs. K is a wonderful teacher. She is ultimately interested in making sure her students succeed. And it says, is your LRTC program what you expected it to be? It actually exceeded my expectations, as I didn't expect it to go as in-depth, nor to have such good quality equipment and locations. The next one was, I love all of the programs, feel connected in a way, and they are supported, that they support each other. Yes, I've learned way more than I expected to learn, and it probably will last me a lifetime. And then one of the questions was, are you happy with your teacher and your program? He is probably one of the first people I would go to if I had a problem in my life. He's a great person, and I appreciate when he pushes us to do better than we do because he knows we can't. Those are really good compliments for our program. We feel really good and strong about it, but there's more to come. And I know we've bombarded you with a lot of information, and we don't want to take up any more of your time, but if you have an opportunity to come and visit us, want to know more about the programs, more about our students, we love it when there's loud music and sparks going and people are, doing what they're supposed to do, and every once in a while, you get to experience that.
Do you want to see the 3-minute video or no?
Yes.
3-minute video. We'll end it there. Thank you.
I don't know how to make it go. Hold on. That clicker, that was the only thing I didn't know how to do.
We thank you for your patience. I know it's a lot of information, but our kids do great things. They leave here with a lot of skills. They learn the safety portions of what they need to do, and they pass their credits and really like being here. So we're very fortunate to work in a world where that happens, because that's not everywhere. And I have worked in other places where that's not the case, and those kids are coming here now to be able to learn the things that they want to learn. Mary.
Thank you both, as you know, I adore LRTC. If I missed it, could you speak to the marine engines?
That was the part that I would say is the more to come. Jeremiah Burke, who is one of our community partners, is here tonight, probably for a whole different reason, but I'll just introduce him to you a little bit. We've been working on bringing a marine tech program to this region for 5 years, probably, going on 6. We're going to make that happen in this coming year. We have a meeting later on next week to see how that's going to fit into our existing programs in order to make sure that those kids that are ready, we have 10 kids who are ready to start that program in the fall without having to, disrupt everything, but have a great community partner like Jeremiah and the other marinas around the lake that are going to help us to facilitate that moving forward. We look forward to that happening, getting it off the ground. It's been a long time coming. We had to do quite a heavy lift to get it all here, and we have a lot of people to thank when we run this thing, and look forward to continuing that work. Thank you. Yes, well, it started with a field trip over to Goodhue with our work-based learning coordinator a long time ago. Her name was Jen French. Maybe some of you know her. She has full-on farm over on Wombat Road. Thank you. And in the short story of all of that, we went over and I was looking around and I was like, how come we don't have a marine tech program around here? Because it looked like there was a need for it, because it looked like a perfect fit for all of the things that we're doing. Small engines, custom paint work, fiberglass repair, all of those things, motors, the small engines, the boat motors and things like that. So Jeremiah has donated a boat to our programs. He's been in to give us motors for kids to work on. So it is a work in progress. It is about to take, we won't say flight because we're not building airplanes, but we will launch this thing in the near future, and I look forward to continuing that work with you. We're not getting that thing going. We may have to call it quits so you guys can get on with your meeting. Oh, there it is. This is at the end of the year when we did our celebration last Thursday. We did a celebration for all our kids and all of the certificates and awards that they had won so that they can be recognized with their families. gained the idea from one of our other tech centers in the state of having a signing day for when kids sign up for a job. We had one young man who is going to the Quest of Naples shipyard and has already received a signing bonus, and he's going to be in a program with them in welding starting next year. So looking forward to hearing more stories about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate the presentation. Thank you, Jen. So next part of our agenda. Okay, so I see Wolfeboro Community Television is set up. So for people who will watch the recording, we called to order at 6 p.m. Went through a non-public. We called the public session to order. At 7 p.m. we did our Pledge of Allegiance. We added something during a gender review, the nomination to the Wolfeboro Capital Improvements Plan Committee. And we just finished our LRTC student presentation. So we are now on to the acceptance of minutes. So our first set of minutes are the May 5th school board meeting minutes. I had no corrections. Is there anyone who has any corrections? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the school board meeting minutes of May 5th as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Mary, seconded by Dr. Beth. Seeing no discussion, if you could call the roll once you're ready, Kathy, please.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
I'll abstain.
Nate?
Yes.
Kayla?
Yes.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Brody?
Aye. Next, we have our Buildings and Maintenance Committee meeting minutes from May 14th. And members of the committee are Dr. Jim Manning, Kirsten Berg, Kaylee Hewitt, and Nate Williams. So if any of you guys have any amendments to these meeting minutes? No. So if someone on the committee would make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Kayla, seconded by Kirsten. Kathy, if you could call the roll once you're ready.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Kayla?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next, we have our May 19th school board meeting. So this is our school board association's training that we receive annually, and we had a discussion of the general assurances, which we'll discuss again tonight. I had no edits. Is there anybody who had any edits? So seeing none, if someone would make a motion to approve the May 19th school board meeting minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Beth, seconded by Dr. Jim Manning. Seeing no discussion. Kathy would call the roll, please.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Kayla?
Yes.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Brody?
Aye. And lastly, we have our manifest approval. Tonight's manifest is in the total of $4,053,805.93. Is there a motion to accept the manifest as presented?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Nate Williams, seconded by Dr. Jim Manning. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Kathy, if you could call the roll once you're ready, please.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Kayla?
Yes.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Brody?
Aye. So the motion passes, and we now enter into public input, which is a total of 15 minutes, 3 minutes for each individual, unless extended by vote of the board. You can come down and use the microphone at the podium here, and please be respectful and direct your comments to the board. Seeing no public input, we will move on to the student representative report. Jack, the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you are all ready for summer, because with my floral, colorful shirt, you can tell that I am. So school is almost over, and with that comes a lot of events to close out the year. And since I'm a senior, I'll be attending most of them, which includes this Friday, June 6th, there's senior banquet. And then on Sunday, June 8th, we have baccalaureate, which is hosted at the Wolfeboro Bible Church on Sunday from 1 to 2. Then after that, the athletic awards are from 4 to 6. And then for seniors, we have graduation practice on Thursday morning and Friday morning, both at 10 o'clock. But on Thursday morning, after graduation practice, seniors will be able to walk the halls of their old elementary schools one last time before they graduate, which I'm looking forward to doing. And last but not least, graduation is on June 13th and it starts at 6 o'clock. And hopefully it doesn't rain out, because if the baseball team makes the championship game, I'm going to have to miss my graduation. But besides that, besides all these end of the year events, we did have a few sports teams make the playoffs. The baseball team finished their season with a 12-4 record, which earned them the 5th seed in the playoffs. And we have a game on Thursday at home against Coe Brown. The softball team finished with a record of 14-2, earning them the 2nd seed in a very competitive division. They earned themselves a first-round bye, and their first game will be at home on Saturday, June 7th at 4 o'clock, and their opponent is to be determined. The girls' tennis team finished the regular season as the 8th seed, but they were eliminated in the first round of the playoffs by Bow 7-2. The girls' lacrosse team found their way into the playoffs after an impressive 17-5 victory last Friday over Keene. They will be on the road against Kennett on Wednesday at 5 o'clock for the first round. And with the year ending, that's all I have for you guys tonight. But I just wanted to thank all of you. This year, when I ran for this position about a year ago, I had absolutely no idea what I was getting into. Ms. Holmes and Ms. Famulari, they held a meeting and task for all the kids who wanted to run for student council, and there was like 15 of us seniors who wanted to run, and they're all like, oh, I want to run for president, I want to run for vice president. And I saw this and I'm like, I think I'm the only kid in my grade who would want to do this. So I ran for it, and I didn't know what I was getting into, and then after that first meeting, I was so glad that I did this. It was a unique experience, and it's something I'll remember for the rest of my life, and it really has been an honor. So, and I also wish the best of luck to whoever fills my shoes next year. I'm sure they'll do a great job. I don't know who it's going to be yet, but we'll know soon. So, and one last time, I'll say, on behalf of the student body, I would like to thank the school board and its members for allowing a voice from inside the school to speak on this prestigious board. Thank you, and have a great rest of your night, guys.
Thank you. Oh, it's working. It might still work. Here we go. Okay. Jack, we just wanted to congratulate you, and we actually have a gift for you for your service and your tenure as a member on the board. So. Thank you so much. Very good.
How did you guys figure out this? I don't even think I mentioned.
We know people.
That's so nice of you guys. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations again, Jack, and we can now move on to the superintendent. The superintendent report.
So then we can just share. Good evening. I'll highlight a few items from my report for the board. First, I want to thank LRTC Principal Tatro and Sue Ouellette for her presentation. Jen Ouellette, sorry, I had her thing earlier. Jen Ouellette for her presentation We're always impressed with LRTC, and thank you, Jack, for your tenure on the board. You've been an excellent student representative, and we hope we have someone who can attempt to fill your shoes next year, so thank you. Okay, so I'll highlight a couple things from my report. First, a district technology update. We plan to transition to a .gov domain this summer. We're preparing to transition to a .gov domain, which would mean that all of our email addresses would be sau49nh.gov. This domain registry is maintained by the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. It offers national level support, security monitoring, and guidance. Districts across the state are making this move because it requires federal level identity verification. It makes it significantly more difficult for bad actors to spoof district websites or emails. This move aligns with Primex's #1 cybersecurity recommendation for school districts. So there will be more information to come that we will share with the board, with staff, with students as we move along, but it has been recommended that we make this transition during the summer due to the size of our district. It will also offer a cost savings because the domain will be hosted at no cost through Cloudflare, eliminating recurring expenses that we have currently had to pay. So that's the first update. Let's see, just a couple other things I want to highlight. End of year events, just to also share, piggyback on what Jack mentioned. Tonight we had our retirement ceremony at 4 p.m. The scholarship night is Wednesday, June 5th at 6 p.m. Senior banquet is Friday, June 6th at 6 p.m. Graduation Friday, June 13th at 6 p.m. with the rain date of Saturday at 10 a.m., but I hope to not use it. And we have grade 6 promotion celebrations all across the district. I recommend to those that are interested in those dates, please look at our calendar, look at our school district calendars, because those are a variety of different dates. So thank you. We look forward to celebrating with you. And the other item I'd like to update the board about is regarding our district communication plan. I'd like to thank our parent advisory group. We've been meeting monthly since December, and we now have, we're meeting one more time tomorrow to put the final touches on it, but a district communication plan. It was developed using feedback from the parents and from the data from the communication audit conducted this fall. So it has key strategies, defined goals, a concrete action plan to strengthen how we communicate with families. We feel very confident since our Parent Square rollout that we have the vehicle to assist with the communication, and there are a lot of other creative strategies in person as well. So I want to extend my gratitude to parents because we can't create a communication plan for parents without parents. So I look forward to that. Thank you. Those are the highlights. Any questions about the district update this month?
Any questions from the board?
Or no comment, but like maybe we could get some of that information from the parent for the communication committee. It might be very beneficial.
Absolutely. Be very happy to share that with the Communication Relations Committee. Definitely. Thank you.
Am I going to get this thing to work? I don't know why. Hello? Is that working? Okay, there we go. Any other questions? I just had a question about the, that's next agenda item. Yeah, my only question was, what are we doing to protect our old domain? Because obviously if we transition to a new domain, are we going to keep our old domain?
No, we would not. We would, we might have a transition period where, as it was explained to me, we might have a transition period for a month or at any duration that we would prefer. But the purpose in creating this new domain would be to have a more safe domain for our email, so we don't have to use the old domain anymore.
I guess I guess my only concern is what if someone were to purchase or spoof our old domain? Like, for example, we saw someone buy GWRSD.com and utilize it. So I guess that's I think we should talk to our IT department and ask them to, I don't know, make sure that our existing digital assets are protected, so no one is
Absolutely.
utilizing it for nefarious purposes.
Absolutely. They're staunch supporters of this, and so I have full confidence that they're doing the safest move humanly possible for cybersecurity, but that's certainly something I can have more information for the board about.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, we'll move on to the Carpenter School update.
Thank you. So as I communicated to the community, staff, and families, just to provide some context, on May 9th, we had a ceiling collapse within Carpenter School. So the Wolfeboro Fire Department came to the school. It was actually before the ceiling collapsed. They pulled the fire alarm, and the school was evacuated, and students were dismissed within an hour. We were able to secure a structural engineer to create a report, to assess the building, look at 100-year-old plans, because the building is exactly 100 years old, and produce a report for us within a week's time. We relocated all of our students, grades K through 3. Kindergarten is across the street at the First Congregational Church. I'd like to extend my deep gratitude to that church for housing our kindergarten students. They didn't flinch when we said we needed space for our kids. It was absolutely an incredible community response when students evacuated to the church, and then we asked also, can we have kindergarten there for a month? And they were thrilled to help. So we continue to be so grateful to that church. We also had to relocate grades 1, 2, and 3. Grades 1 and 3 are at Crescent Lake. They joined our grades 4, 5, 6 there. And we have grade 2 at the Art Center. So the students have been quoted as saying this is the best long field trip that they've ever had. And so I'll take it. I'm happy that they're happy. Kids adjust in incredible ways. And the teachers they have picked up their belongings, their classroom materials, and relocated in 2 days' time, and are continuing school. They're absolutely warriors in this process. I also want to give a shout out to our facilities staff who rented a U-Haul and made five trips in one evening in order to move classroom furniture, supplies, materials from one school into 3 other locations in under 24 hours. So this is me just bragging about our school district, about our staff, and trying to share as much gratitude as possible, because it was an incredible feat and a wonderful group effort from so many parties. So now we are looking to how to repair this building. Next steps. We have our structural engineer assessment, and as well as the asbestos assessment posted on the GWRSD.org website for anyone to read and to see. The structural engineer found that in the largest portion of the building that was built in 1925, there were smooth nails and horseshoe nails that were holding up straps to hold up plaster that is underneath these drop ceilings. And one room basically decided to give out on its 100-year birthday. And so the structural engineer's assessment determined that the building is not fit for occupancy until that section of the building has been repaired. Also, since I mentioned asbestos, we did have that testing, a quick turnaround. It was determined it was 100% negative for asbestos. No asbestos was found in the samples that were taken from the room. We also just received a response from Primex. So Primex is our liability property insurance carrier. Primex came out just days later and did a full assessment of the damage. With the engineer? Yes, with the engineer who helped to explain what he found in the building as well. We just received a response from Primex just a couple hours ago. And they said the walkthrough went well. The engineer was helpful in his explanation of the loss. From a coverage perspective, there are 3 distinct conditions at the school. The ceiling that has physically collapsed to the floor, the ceilings that may be in the process of collapse, and the ceilings that have the same installation characteristics but have not collapsed. There is coverage for the collapsed ceiling, including any damage to the furniture and contents in the room. Coverage would include the increased cost of replacing the ceiling in the room to comply with current building code. Coverage would also extend under the same claim for the lower level room where the ceiling was damaged by the impact on the floor above. So Carpenter is 2 floors of classrooms. The second floor is where a ceiling collapsed, and directly underneath that ceiling is now bowing. And that's what they're referring to. There is no coverage for the ceilings that have the same installation characteristics that have not collapsed. Primex obviously encourages the school to address this safety concern, which we understand the school is, but unfortunately we cannot cover preventative measures. So they go on to explain the gray area. So the gray area is the ceilings that may be in the process of collapse. So although they can't commit to covering those other ceilings in the rooms that were also built in 1925 at this time, they explain that if in the process of removing the drop ceiling, they see that there are straps that have fallen as a result of sudden falling, they're saying, then they will extend coverage. So it is the case in some situations where they don't know what they will cover until we start the process and start removing some of the drop ceiling, so then they can inspect that section as well. Let's see. To determine coverage for the ceilings in these gray areas, Primex will need to re-inspect each of the areas after the suspended acoustical ceiling systems under the plaster ceilings have been removed. So from here, Primex also has contacts for contractors. There are 2 contractors that we have worked with that may be able to do this work immediately. Intercom out of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, and Construction Services of New Hampshire out of Epping, New Hampshire. So we will be calling them first thing in the morning and assessing their availability and bids for this project. Given that this is an unanticipated cost, we will, after we receive the quotes from the contractors and the amounts that Primex will cover, we may be in touch with the board to request a public hearing to expend from the Building and Maintenance Trust. So that's where we are right now.
Comprehensive. Is there any questions from board members? Seeing none,
I have one.
oh, go ahead, Nate. Yep.
Do we know how much is in the Buildings and Maintenance Trust? Would we be able to cover, you think we'd be able to cover the whole cost? I mean, obviously we don't know, but.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull that up.
That's
She's
fine.
pulling that up. She expected that question to come.
Any other additional questions or comments? So we'll just get that number pulled up.
I'm going to pull that up for us now. Thank you.
this is going to be the year end of 2024, and we will have added 150,000 to that, so if, I have to put, yeah, that's the warrant article, I put it in the terms, not the other warrant article, but the capital reserve warrant article. So at the end of June 2024, the building had 187,930, adding 150 to it, and then the interest income.
Did you, 187,930, and then we're adding 150,000 to it?
That already went, yeah.
That's already.
So the total would be $337,930.
And that doesn't include interest that we might accrue?
We would have, yep,
Okay.
but I don't, no, it does not include that.
So that doesn't include the interest that we've accrued since year end of '24.
Thank you.
I'm going to try and look.
Thank you.
Awesome. We'll move on to the KRHS Alumni Association. Give us a presentation.
If you give us a minute, we also have a little video for you, so I don't know if any of you want to shift over here. Take about 15 minutes. You won't be able to see the slide? Oh, you've got it already.
Yeah.
Right, great. My name is Christy Smith. I am currently the president of the Alumni Association, and we have Chris Nelson, who is our fundraising chair, and Lenny Moore, who is our vice president. Deb Skelly is our treasurer, and Lloyd Wood is one of our board members. So we're all representing the Alumni Association this evening. And we started, I started kind of putting together this slideshow for a couple of reasons. One, we're kind of just putting this out here of what we do, and we're looking for people to kind of join and be part of it. And part of you'll see in the slideshow is that we don't consider, you don't have to just have been a student at Kingswood to be an alumni at Kingswood. We consider like faculty, anyone involved in the Kingswood community can join this organization. So we're going to start with just a little history, because 60 years ago, I'm not going to read every slide, but this one I'll read through. The Vietnam War escalated, and the first U.S. ground troops were sent to South Vietnam. President Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act, guaranteeing African Americans the right to vote. The Sound of Music topped the box office and won 5 Academy Awards that year. Pope Paul VI was the first pope to visit the United States. Now we have our first pope from the United States. And a dozen eggs cost 53 cents 60 years ago. And also 60 years ago, Kingswood was first open. So in 1965 in June, Kingswood was graduating its first class. We graduated. A little shout out, my dad was in that first class as well. And then the Alumni Association was founded 20 years ago. So one of the reasons we start talking about this is the Alumni Association was actually started, like I remember in April of 2004, Lenny and I were both at that meeting 20 years ago. And it was really pushed by a group of teachers who kind of reached out. I remember Bob Coolidge reached out to me to see if I would join. I had just started teaching here. I was a few years into teaching. Well, I guess I was about 7 years into teaching here. I guess I've been here a little while. Started teaching here, and they wanted to get this group together. So Ed Roundy was a big push for that. He was the first principal of Kingswood. He was a coach here and a teacher here. And then the first official meeting, which is why we actually have a roster was in that September. That's when minutes were taken to kind of see who was present. So then we decided to kind of do a little history. Lenny is pretty good at, he goes through all the archives and he's got things scanned. So he went through and started just checking all the Kingswood logos. These are all the different logos the high schools had through the years. And then we kind of jumped ahead because I'm going to kind of go over the things the Alumni Association has done. But this was before the Alumni Association. It was in 1990. It was the dedication of the Memorial Rock, which was placed on the athletic fields. Now in 1990, that was before we went through all the renovations here at the high school. So the athletic fields were down where the art center is, those parking lots, those were all athletic fields. So McManus Road was there and they had the rocks along the road. And I remember the rock was placed like at the backstop of the softball field, which was probably kind of right around where the art center is. And they placed this plaque here and it was dedicated to those who have given their time and support to the students of Kingswood Regional High School. And then this was to Robert Hale, which is Debbie's family. I think you were in this picture, Deb?
I think so.
Yes, you are. And it was, Robert Hale maintained the fields and was a strong supporter of the Kingswood athletic program over a long period of years. So that's where it originated. And then we go to the next slide. And then in 2007, it kind of came back around to the Alumni Association. Here's this plaque. No other names had been added. So people were asking about it. So the Alumni Association sponsored the addition of these names. So we had Coach Barry Tibbetts. He was a PE teacher, an alumni, and a coach here. He did pass away from cancer, which was pretty tragic at the time. But his name was added to the plaque in 2007. Lester Bean in 2008, he's the Director of Transportation here. And then Howard Bean, Senior, we were trying to figure out to describe his role, and we came up with benefactor and #1 fan, because he was a huge supporter of the Kingswood community. I think he's got a bench downtown in Wolfeboro that's kind of dedicated to him. Personally, he sponsored my trip to the New Hampshire Vermont All-State Field Hockey Game. He was my sponsor for that. So he was added to that in 2009. Then around 2010, so we're approaching the renovations. We're kind of in the middle of all the planning and everything's going on. And Bruce Herman, who was a teacher here, and Ed Roundy, facilitated, we have all these plaques. Now the plaques are for teams that have gone to the championship game. So the plaque is either the runner-up plaque, you came in second, or the championship plaque, you were the first. But we were missing a lot. There had been other construction projects here at Kingswood. We were missing, so Bruce and Ed really they met with the athletic director and they went through and kind of really researched what plaques we should have and what was missing. So the Alumni Association sponsored the replacement of those plaques. And then we stored them, kept them during the construction, and then after the renovations, these all got placed up in the hallway that you can see now by the gymnasium. Ironically, not ironically, but coincidentally, I think it's interesting that 1965, so the first year it was open, is our first plaque from the boys basketball Class I runners-up. And then our most recent plaque earned, it's not on the wall yet, but the one they earned, was the this year's boys ice hockey team made it to the finals. So that's kind of a nice tribute. And then just a separate shout out, as one of the art teachers here at the high school, we did the mural after renovations, a lot of white empty halls in the building when it was brand new. So we went through and kind of did a silhouette of all the sports here at Kingswood. And at the time, like we researched, make sure we hit them all. We have the swim team, which I didn't even know we had a swim team. So it was kind of a fun little research too, to be like, how many different sports do we offer here at Kingswood? Then we jumped ahead to 2014. That was Kingswood's 50th anniversary, 2014, 2015 that year. We had a strong alumni group that organized many events. I just wanted to do a little notice there of the alumni business sponsors. We had business owners who were alumni of Kingswood, that sponsored all the activities that we did that year. Kind of a shout out to the community effort here, how important Kingswood is to the community. One of the events we did for the 50th was the Coming Home Alumni Art Show. So again, the Art Center is relatively new, just a few years out. This was organized by Elizabeth Helfer, who was actually a former student of mine, that she is a working sculptor now, and she came and curated the show. We also did that year the banners, so in the gym, after renovation, they took down all the old banners to get a more unified look, put up all these new uniforms. They were getting rid of these. So we were like, well, what can we do? So one of the events we did was during halftime of that football game that year was we did a championship parade, which reached out. So there's representatives from each of those teams that are holding up the banners, which was kind of fun. I got to hold one of those. Then we had, over the years, we've helped sponsor alumni basketball games, alumni ice hockey games. Lenny did a lot of work with that. The alumni field hockey games. And then the longest running community event, our fundraiser for our scholarships was the alumni golf tournament. We've been doing that. What we have not done it the last couple of years is we've been competing with other organizations. It's been pretty tough to kind of do. But this was one of our biggest fundraisers. Another way we were fundraising was we had some alumni who were season pass holders to the Red Sox or Bruins, and they would donate 2 tickets every year to the Alumni Association. So all the proceeds we got, there was many years that people were like, are you selling the raffle tickets? There's a picture of some of our winners down here. So that was a big fundraiser for us for many years. We created business cards. These would go into the senior packets. So when the kids got their senior packets, kind of welcoming them as alumni as well. And then the bottom part of this, just want to show how sometimes you start with one thing and it leads into other activities. We had, oh, we just lost you on this screen, Chris. But we have you on the other two. I don't know why. The Boosters Club. So in 2013, we had a group of parents who were also alumni, but their kids were at Kingswood. And they came to the alumni meetings, and they were really active parents, but their focus was really on the sports. So then they kind of broke off and developed the Athletic Boosters Club, which was for all sports. And now that's kind of morphed. Now each team has their own Boosters Club. It's getting a little pretty big, but an example of how sometimes you just need a place to start. They just wanted to kind of have a voice. They started with the Alumni Association and then moved on to the Boosters. Good, Chris. Good job. Then in 2023, we honored Chris made this in his classroom. Chris is also a teacher here. We honored Ed Roundy, principal, teacher, coach. He was the founding father of the Alumni Association. He has since passed, but this is hanging up in the alumni office, which is on this floor of the high school. We have an office in the back. He truly was a heart and soul. He really, really believed in the school. He has his family has set up a continuing scholarship, the Ed Roundy Family Scholarship for our students as well. And then we moved to the current day, and we showed our current board members. You'll see there's only 2 color photographs on that from senior yearbooks. But we have myself, Lenny Moore, Deb Skelly, our secretary is Allie Calkins. She's one of the color photographs there. Chris Nelson, Mary Ellen Bridges, and then we've had Carrie Jane Kennison and Lloyd Wood, very faithful attendees and supporters of the alumni. The things we continue to do. So that was a little bit of our history. The things we continue to do is we maintain records of class treasuries. 34 of the 60 classes that have graduated from Kingswood have money in their accounts, in their class. that can be accessed and used for reunions. Those classes, when they come back for reunions, will reach out. They could also donate for the scholarship if they wanted to, but mostly they've been using it for reunions. We also have a collection in the office up here of different memorabilia. We have minutes from all the meetings. We have one person brought in, they had a whole binder of newspaper clippings and articles from when the school was first open. She didn't want to throw it out, so now it's kind of tucked in storage. It's like on one of our bookshelves. We also keep a collection of the Lance. The library here also has a collection of the yearbook. We have our own collection. We are missing 2,000. Up until when we started in 2004, all those earlier ones are donated ones. So, and some of them have like writing in them. They're from people that were cleaning out, and they're like, what do I do with my yearbook? So we have multiples of some years, but we are missing a 2,000. So if anybody has a 2,000 out there they'd like to donate to our collection. Lenny spends a lot of his time maintaining our Facebook page, which has over 2,800 members. And our biggest accomplishment, in my opinion, is our scholarship. Since 2009, we've awarded 34 scholarships totaling $32,500 to students and alumni of Kingswood. We're one of the scholarships, like this Friday at Senior Banquet, we'll be awarding 2 scholarships to class of 2025 and 1 alumni, so a student that has already graduated and is still in college. Some of our fundraising challenges, I'm not going to go into all of these, but it's kind of just, there's a list of things that makes it difficult because our fundraising is active. Even though the 34 classes have monies in their accounts, those are restricted. We choose not to touch those. Those are not ours to be used for scholarships. So our scholarships have been 100% fundraising. So that we've had some challenges on continuing the fundraising. So this is one of the reasons we're here, to report on what we're doing, but it's also to help us achieve our goals. We would like to continue, these are our goals, continue to award scholarships to our Kingswood students and alumni. We would like to organize fundraising and community events to foster pride in our Kingswood community. And number 3 is to recruit new membership to help achieve goals 1 and 2. So it's kind of our continuing goals. And the ways you can help when you put the word out. I did this presentation for the high school faculty, so we kind of, there was ways you can serve on the board. You can spread the word on your class social media accounts. I know there's some alumni on the board, just saying. You can contribute to our scholarship fund and volunteer to help in our fundraising efforts. This is the flyer that Deb has, that she's going to give to the, Mary Ellen Bridges made these with some of her students helping her. And then this is just our kind of final when we meet. We typically meet the first Monday of every month. We are talking, I am stepping down as president of the Alumni Association. This will be my last presentation to all of you. Thank you for all of your support. We are going to meet, I'm going to do one more meeting in September with the faculty and reaching out to do it on Facebook, and we'll have an organizational meeting in October when we start back up. But these are the other ways you can reach out to us. We do have an email address that Lenny checks and our Facebook page. I think that's it. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, can I try that one? I can't tell if it's me or is it? No, it is this one. No, you're not like that one. So next we are doing our revised general assurances. So I'll give the floor to the superintendent to kind of give us an overview. We've received a fair amount of information from the School Boards Association, their legal counsel, but I'll let the superintendent kind of give us an update.
Thank you. Yes, the general assurances are a document that the board is required to review and sign and approve and have documented in meeting minutes in order for us to attach to the grant management system per the state. It outlines all the rules for grant allocations and spending. The recommendation was for the board to,
Do you want to use this?
I think I'm okay. I'm going in and out though. Okay.
Just so that one's cursed.
That's cursed. So the recommendation at the last board meeting was to delay signing because the ACLU had a lawsuit. It's a long story. The ACLU actually won their lawsuit to some degree. So the revised assurances have some of the new language stricken. It does still require us to follow executive orders. However, this is revised, and so I do have the general assurances now for the board's action.
Are there any questions or comments? Our board packets online. There were copies of the general assurances. They marked up Department of Education, the New Hampshire Department of Education marked up how they were edited. And obviously we have to sign these things in order to, these documents in order to access federal funds. So I think at this time, based on advice from the New Hampshire School Board's legal counsel, I'm comfortable with signing these revised general assurances. And so I don't know if there'll be a motion to that effect. Would someone want to make the motion? Moved by Nate. Dr. Jim, you want a second?
Second.
So moved by Nate Williams, seconded by Dr. Jim. Is there any discussion or questions for the superintendent about the general assurances? Yes, Tom.
Are there any concerns about the language within these? I know that, oh, thank you. Are there any concerns with language within these assurances? I recall that we felt comfortable with the federal government's changes to this, but there was some concern about the state requirements. How did that play out? Is there still language that we're concerned about?
Thank you. The language is consistent with years past at this point. So I'm not concerned about the language currently because it is consistent with years past in that it states that we must comply with executive orders. We must comply with grant laws and how we allocate and how we expend grant funding. I'm confident in our district policy. It's a very extensive grant policy that is consistent with these assurances. And it is a significant improvement from before it was revised.
Yeah, I think the most recent email too that we got from the School Boards Association recommended at this time signing by the deadline, and we did contact the Department of Education, the state, to see if it was okay if we voted and submitted after the July 1 deadline. They confirmed that clerically that that would be fine, wouldn't be an issue. So, sorry, June. So I personally feel comfortable at this time, and with the language being more orthodox and typical as it's, in years past, with years past, I'm going to support the motion as, on the floor. there any further discussion or comments? Yeah, go ahead.
I was relieved to see the changes that were made to the overall document, which previously had specific references to particular executive orders, et cetera, some of which have raised legal concerns that they have internal contradictions. And so because they're not directly called out anymore, I agree with the superintendent's assessment that this is more consistent with what we would normally sign. And obviously the district endeavors to be in alignment with state law and federal law at all times for our grant funding. So I'm also in support of the motion on the floor.
Anything else? Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead, Danielle.
Yeah, I think I agree that it makes sense to sign. I just would encourage like my fellow board members, but also the general public to like read this document, read the full text of these things, because it's not necessarily like typical. Like the fact that the language even had to be revised in the first place, and I really would encourage people to see it in black and white, the way people are like talking about these issues. But I like I said, I agree. Thanks.
Any other comments or questions? All right, seeing no additional discussion, Kath, if you could call the roll once you're ready, please.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Kayla?
Yes.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Brody?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously, and next we will move on to the authority to hire, and I'll give the floor to the superintendent again.
Thank you. Authority to hire. So each June, we request that the board grant the superintendent temporary authority to hire professional staff between the June and August board meetings. I have a memo in your packets with a recommended motion. This request is necessary to ensure we can offer contracts to qualified candidates without delay during the critical summer hiring procedure. Under normal procedures, the board votes on the superintendent's nominations before contracts are offered. However, given the time-sensitive nature of summer hiring, we're asking the board to grant the superintendent direct authority to hire during this period. This would allow us to secure top candidates without the risk of losing them to other districts that are able to act more quickly. We would then present all of these candidates to the board for ratification at the August meeting. So at that time, the board would have the opportunity to review and hear about the new staff members. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions, or is there a motion?
I move that the school board grant the superintendent the authority to hire professional staff between the June and August board meetings, with all such hires to be presented to the board for ratification at the August meeting.
Second.
Motion by Mary, seconded by Dr. Beth. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Kathy, if you could call the roll once you're ready, please.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes.
Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Kayla?
Yes.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Brody?
Aye.
Thank you.
That concludes the superintendent's report. Let me see. I have first in my report some correspondence. We expressed words of sympathy to a elementary school teacher on the passing of their mother. I won't get into details to protect their privacy, but we sent some sympathies to an employee who lost their mother. We also had our retirement reception tonight for teachers who are retiring from Governor Wentworth. But I do want to really call out and recognize our assistant superintendent, Heather Cummings, who is retiring, and this will be her last, probably her last school board meeting, unless you attend the public hearing that we'll have for the Buildings and Maintenance Trust. But this will be your last regularly scheduled school board meeting for sure, so I just want to extend on behalf of the board our greatest gratitude to your service to our school district, and you've been an immense help to furthering and an asset to furthering public education in our community, and we're deeply indebted to your service and what you've done for Governor Wentworth, so thank you. Next in my report, we have the New Hampshire School Boards Association request for resolutions. So as many of you may know or may not know, the School Boards Association, which we're a member of, provides us with a suite of services like legal services, sample policies, trainings throughout the year, and other advocacy efforts down in Concord. And being a member-run organization, they have a board of directors made up of school board members across the state, and they also have an annual meeting where their budget's approved and where resolutions are considered to their bylaws or to their policy advocacy documents. So I didn't receive any resolutions, so I don't think any board members have any resolutions, but if there was an opportunity for our board to sign a resolution, make a request for the annual conference, this would be the time when we would do it, and we would then have our delegation would go to the School Boards Association annual conference and advocate for that resolution and vote on that resolution, the host of others. So does anyone have a resolution? I didn't think so, because I didn't receive anything. But just wanted to call that out. So if you're, especially for our newer board members, if there's things that you see, regarding the School Boards Association, you say, I think, that should change. This time next year, you can remember that you can ask our board to submit a resolution. So the majority of our board votes would submit a resolution for the annual conference. But the delegate assembly will be October 4th, 2025 at the Grapponi Conference Center. I attended on behalf of our board last year. So we'll have a discussion as that date gets close, probably at our September meeting. We'll appoint someone to be our delegate to the annual conference at the delegate assembly on October 4th. It's a Saturday. So definitely flag in your calendars now. And while we get one vote as a district or as a school board, our entire board is allowed to attend as a delegation. Usually each board sends 1 to 2 board members though. So is there any discussion or questions? Yes, Mary?
Does this mean this is on? Could you give us, I kind of know, to look at where we can find the resolutions that have been, that other districts are on here?
It's, the email that we received from NHSBA, but you can always email them. You can email the executive director, Barry Christine, and he can always send you a list. But in the email that they sent us, you can see it says to submit a proposal for a resolution, click here, and current NHSBA resolutions can be viewed here.
What about the community at large? Is this only for the school boards to see?
I believe it's on their website. Their website's nhsba.org if anyone's curious. And again, they provide us an immense amount of services with helping us be able to fulfill our duties and save our school district and many others immense amounts on any kind of legal services. Rather than having to call our lawyer for every small legal question, we're able to reach out to them and they can answer our legal questions. They have staff attorneys that are there just to help us answer simple questions, or even individual board members, or trainings on anything you can imagine that we would need to understand. Budgeting, collective bargaining agreement negotiations, right to know law, meetings and how they operate, and they also will come to us and provide our board personal training and help us grow and become better board members. So they really are an important asset to us and to our community. I'll move on to end of year events. So I just had added to the online packet, I wanted to flag for everyone that there's still some end of year events upcoming. So if you haven't reviewed the spreadsheet, there's now some times and places that have now been scheduled for those end of year events, like the senior banquet, which will be happening, that's Friday. Yeah, so you'll see in the superintendent's report that she's flagged those last few end of year events. So definitely, if you've been able to attend some events, there's still some more that you can attend if you want to attend more. Or if you haven't attended any, I would encourage you to try to attend these last few pretty important events for our graduating seniors. Is there any questions? Next, we have our planning for strategic plan review, and we mentioned at our last board meeting where we had our New Hampshire School Boards Association training, having a more concerted effort of reviewing our strategic plan and what benchmarks we've hit, which ones we felt we've fallen short, and where we could continue to grow. And so there's kind of two ideas that we can go or approach this, unless someone has an alternative, but we could either have a special meeting sometime in the month of July, or I was considering having our August meeting either start or end with a longer discussion and maybe a presentation on the strategic plan, and for us to incorporate that at our Brookfield meeting. So I just want to get board members' feedback about what they thought.
I think a separate meeting would be more beneficial. Trying to push everything into one would make us probably rush through things, personally. With a lot of new people on the board, I think it would be beneficial. Thank you.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm happy that Nate was the first person to suggest that, because I do value everybody's time, but I think it would be a lot more meaningful, especially because we're talking about like these broad goals, if we make time. And if that has to be in July, then I can make that work.
Okay.
Yes, Mary?
Having been part of the very first one, and as a new board member, it was extremely helpful to me to be part of that charter, so to speak. And is this also what we talked about, a board retreat kind of thing? Is this, yeah, very much value that.
Yeah, I would say, from what I'm kind of hearing, and I want to be sensitive of people's availability, because I know, some people may not be available in July, but what I'm hearing is a July meeting would be good, dedicated as like a workshop to discuss this and get a presentation from our administrators on the strategic plan, and for us to have a discussion about it. So I'm guessing then maybe the first Monday of July. I mean, this was the only reason why I even floated the idea of doing it in August, because last year when we tried to accommodate everyone's schedule, even for our regularly scheduled August meeting, it became a multi-month process. So that's the only reason why I'm only hesitant to the workshop idea, because July tends to be a very busy month for families and for a lot of our board members. So we could always do after the August meeting. Oh, is that your, I think I'm hearing maybe after our August meeting, so between August and September might be easier.
Yeah, because our first Monday is July 7th, and it's a holiday weekend.
Oh,
Right. It's
okay.
the 4th that's the problem.
Want to meet with our administrators.
Okay, so what if we shot for, I'm thinking if our regularly scheduled board meeting is August 4th in Brookfield, then I would think, because we traditionally meet on Mondays, maybe Monday, August 18th. I know that's a while in advance. Some people might be like, I have no idea what I'm doing on August 18th.
I know.
I'd be driving kids to college at that point, so.
So
Check on that date.
we could do the 11th.
Could you throw out a couple and we vote on them?
May I ask, so the supposition is that we would require the SAU to prepare a presentation for that working meeting. If we were not asking the SAU to provide a presentation, if it was more like a working session where we really just review the existing strategic plan, would that change the timeline for the SAU team? I'm hearing that the July dates are not realistic for the SAU.
I mean, so they did say, yeah, they would need the month of July to create a presentation.
Right.
My only thing is I would find it beneficial, and I think members of the community might find it beneficial, to receive a presentation before we really delve into the strategic plan of how they've hit their benchmarks. Because while I can look at the strategic plan, I mean, this is me personally, while I can look at it and see this is what we intended to do, this was how we were going to do it, and these were the outcomes, I'd like to hear what the administration, what did happen and what the outcomes were. So I think a presentation would be helpful and informative, especially for our newer board members too.
I just looked and the 18th does work for me, so.
It works for me too. Are we looking for availability for August 18th at this time?
Based on what I'm hearing from the superintendent, I'm going to make a motion that we will have a strategic plan workshop on August 18th of this year. Workshop, retreat, I'm going to use workshop. I like workshop.
Retreat.
I'm gonna make retreat t-shirts, but we'll just call it workshop.
I like it. I like it.
I'm really not making t-shirts, but okay.
Okay.
So is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Nate. My only further discussion will be time.
What day of the week is
A Monday.
It's a Monday. I'm wondering if 6 or 7 o'clock when we usually have our board meetings might be reasonable for everyone. Does that sound reasonable?
Could be your,
This is mine.
Do you guys want to do earlier, like 5 o'clock? You want to split the difference at 6 instead of 7? All right, so 6 o'clock, August 18th, we'll be doing a strategic plan workshop / retreat. All right.
I want to be careful about
guys.
calling it, excuse me, a retreat, because last time we had a retreat on the strategic plan, it was actually at Carpenter School, and people seemed to get the idea that we'd gone to the Omni Hotel.
I also like, I actually, and I like workshop more too, because we're working, we're not retreating, we're not just hanging out, we're doing something that's diligent.
It's so funny the connotations that words take on, because when I hear retreat, I really hear like contemplation and self-reflection and like a time of stillness and, thinking. But I hear what you're saying. We are not going to the Omni.
All right. Any additional public input?
Public needs to go first. I just have a request.
All right, seeing no public input, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Well, we have a comment, and I'd like to make a
Comment on,
I don't know if Tom has something.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, this just occurred to me. Could we get an update on what's going on with WCTV? I've heard things through the minutes of the meeting of the Wolfeboro Selectmen's Board, and that there are money issues. It seemed like they may have to shut down, but this is my interpretation of what I saw in the minutes of the meeting. I was wondering if somebody who knows more about it than me could answer that.
Permission to speak to that? Is this, or what's the procedure?
let's permit it, but usually I prefer us to add stuff like this at agenda review or to, because I have no idea what we're talking about right now and I have no background.
I can speak to that.
Okay, go right ahead, Mary, thank you.
I hope this works. Thank you, Tom, for that question. You're very prescient in asking that. The board has been working diligently since March when we found out that the budget, town budget, which would have funded integral technologies to bring WCT forward. It's not in threat of ending, so to speak. What they have is equipment that is no longer going to be, what's the terminology? It's sort of like warranty, under warranty, so it won't be supported, that's the terminology. So if something goes wrong, it's like your cell phone or whatever. If something goes wrong, there's no money, not only no money to address it, but also the equipment is no longer really functional. How am I doing up there? You're going to explain it. Okay, so the good news is In about a week, we will be presenting a press release to that extent. Also fundraising, awareness of the equipment that's coming forward. So it's really good news, because what it's done is provide an opportunity for WCTV, which for years we've been watching the franchise fees go down and down and down as everybody's cutting the cord, because WCTV was funded completely by the franchise fees that come from whatever the cable company du jour is at the time. And then it just goes to the town and then back to WCTV. So it wasn't property taxes, it wasn't supported by anything. So good news is we have a fundraising campaign coming forward. We've already had people stepping up, say how can we help. The board is highly qualified and extraordinary in their capacity to address this. What normally would have maybe been like a 3-year thing, we've had to do in 3 months. So no worries. The WCTV is not going to go away. It's going to come back like Phoenix or whatever, come out of the fire. But I will let you know, absolutely, and the public as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you for the, this is about WCTV. In regards to, about,
It's just a general comment, not a discussion.
about the Kingswood Youth Center? Okay, go ahead.
I should have mentioned this related to agenda review. I just wanted to let the SAU know that at the KYC's 25th anniversary, which was last week, they expressed sincere gratitude to the district for all its years of support. That's my comment.
Thank you.
This is a compliment.
Okay,
This
go.
is good news.
Go ahead,
I would
Mary.
have said this before the WCTV. I just want to thank Dr. Eric Kellyan and the SAU, which sounds a little bit like a new band name, but the SAU, Dr. Eric Kellyan, certainly Heather Cummings, the two Kathys, for making our work smooth and with great integrity, and I need to shout out to that. Kathy Oblenis and Kathy Lagasse.
Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thank you for clarifying WCTV and for sharing the kind words of correspondence from the Kingswood Youth Center, Dr. Beth. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Jim, seconded by Dr. Beth. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, if you could call the roll, please, Kathy.
Mary?
Yes.
Dr. Beth?
Yes?
Danielle?
Yes.
Nate?
Yes.
Kayla?
Yes.
Kirsten?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Dr. Jim?
Yes.
Brody?
Aye. We are adjourned.